The demand for group and private events is at an all-time high. Is your business ready to capitalize on all these opportunities? With Restaurant as your booking partner, you can ensure event success this year and beyond.
With no booking fees or commissions, Restaurant has helped over 2,000 restaurants, bars, and breweries reach local event planners who are looking for a space for their next gathering. Whether it's a birthday, anniversary, graduation, or corporate event, Restaurant will get your space booked.
Try it today and receive 3 months completely risk-free by signing up at restaurant.com/podcast. That's restaurant.com/podcast.
Hi, everyone. I'm Claudia Sarek.
And I'm Spencer Michael.
And this is So You Want to Run a Restaurant, created by the team at backofhouse.io, the most trusted resource for restaurant tech. Today's guest is someone I have been so excited about. He's earned 2 Michelin stars and was named the James Beard Award winner for Best Chef Northeast in 2024. The first chef in Connecticut to win that award in 18 years. And his restaurant was also listed on America's Best Restaurants for 2024 by the New York Times. So, Spencer, do you know who I'm talking about right now?
I do. It's David Standridge, executive chef and partner at the Shipwright's Daughter in Mystic, Connecticut. And he's here with us today. But what I love about David's story is that it's not just about accolades. It's about this quiet, deliberate reinvention from his early days of fine dining in New York City to leading a coastal restaurant that's deeply tied to its community and to sustainability.
Right. And what I admire is his emphasis on the sustainability piece, as you said, and full use of fish. So he's going to talk to us a lot about that today. But wild local seafood, which is really hard work, and making all the pieces work and using all of the parts of the fish and the sustainability side of that from the fishing aspect of it. So I think what's really cool about the Shipwright's Daughter is that it's not trying to be flashy. It's grounded, it's intentional, and it's really working. It's amazing.
Yeah, totally. So today we're going to talk with David about what it takes to build something that feels both modern and timeless, how his perspective as a chef has evolved over time, and what he's learned about leading a team and a restaurant with purpose.
Well, David, thanks so much for joining us today. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We are so excited to have you on with us today. Did you ever think that this would be the story that you'd end up writing for your life?
Not really. It's been pretty surprising.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because careers go in I always thought I'd be successful at whatever I did. I'm a hard worker. I'm capable. But I've had a lot of different jobs before I even became a chef. I mean, I didn't start cooking professionally really in real kitchens until I was 25, which is kind of a little late. And then I kind of had this pathway in fine dining that I thought was going somewhere, and then it didn't. And I had another pathway in wellness cooking that did just kind of hit a wall. And so you kind of think you're going somewhere, then it stops and you have to start over. And
trial and error.
Yeah, for sure. When I moved here, I was literally okay, I'm getting out of New York. I'm going to go open a little restaurant in Mystic and just fade into obscurity and just have a life and be fine. Didn't work out that way.
Yeah, it didn't work out, but you rolled with the punches.
Yeah, you just got to keep adjusting.
Yeah, and that's what happens. So talk to us a little bit about where you grew up. I read that berry foraging and freshwater fishing were part of your daily life. So let's kind of start there, because I want to hear how that's influenced how you viewed food and hospitality and community.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a place called Vernon, New Jersey, which is the very northern tip of New Jersey on the border of New York State. And in particular in Vernon, I grew up in Highland Lakes, which is what we used to call on the mountain rather than in the valley. Yeah. And so the valley was where all the stuff was. There was a ski area there. There's Action Park, if you're familiar with the documentary on Action Park. And then up in the mountain was where all the lake communities were. And so basically the Appalachian Trail is a stone's throw from my house. We kind of lived on a bunch of lakes, and fishing and, being in the woods really was most of my childhood. Yeah. And, especially early on, it was more on the fishing and berry picking scenario. And then later on, it was the drinking with the keg in the woods with my friends. But, it was always in the woods.
As one goes through life.
Yeah.
These are part of the rites of passages of life. Yeah, I hear you. But that must have been such a shock then when you went from that to New York City. I'm like, what a
Weirdly, like my father and my mother were both from New York. So my dad grew up on City Island
Hmm.
in New York, which is the seaport of the Bronx. And my grandparents lived there. It's an amazingly
Nice.
weird place. It's like half Nantucket, half Bronx. And it's a mile and a half long island. And so we used to go there all the time on weekends and go to my grandparents' house. And they had a little boat. And kind of that was the saltwater experience for me, for fishing and just for being around the ocean, kind of the saltwater, that environment. And then, of course, like all our vacations were Montauk in the summer. So it was,
Yeah.
that was kind of the trifecta of food influences for me.
Okay. And were they also cooking? Like, and did they teach you how to cook?
My family in general cooked all the time, which is unusual given like for my peers that I grew up with. My mother is Italian, so that kind of helps. And my father just always grew up cooking, which was kind of weird. I think a little bit of it just, maybe it's the Southern roots. His family's from Alabama, but like even when he was a kid, he used to just like make himself a cake, because he wanted to.
Yeah.
Just kind of weird things. He was the youngest. I think that
Guilty.
comes with that. Yeah. That's how I learned how to cook. That's the reason I learned how to cook, because I was home alone. Like by age 7, I was home alone all summer. And I would just watch these cooking shows. And I'd be like, I want like sweets because I have a sweet tooth and my mom won't buy me any more cookies. So like, I'm just going to follow these recipes. There's cookbooks, there's flour. I can do this.
Yeah. Throw a few things together.
As far as when you learned how to cook and when you started to really see what kind of ingredients you have to work with and it's not living in California or Florida where you've got an abundance of ingredients basically year round, 12 months a year. The seasons change and everything changes on the menu. So is it a little bit harder? You got to learn how to use everything?
I think for sure. I always feel like, and this is New York in general, if you're a farm to table mentality in New York, when I was working at Market Table, for instance, we weren't always directly from farms. We were very seasonal. So it was only seasonal vegetables. And you go to the green market in February and there's like 3 kinds of turnips. That's basically like what you have to choose from.
Yeah.
And I think I've always seen like California chefs who are super talented, who come to New York to try to open a restaurant and often fail because they have it so easy out there that they can just, go get these like amazing tomatoes in November and it's fine and just put some salt on them. But in New York, you really gotta be able to do something with it.
In New York, but don't let it make you too hard, but don't live in California to let it make you too soft. So you gotta find a medium.
The old adage. Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk to us about working in the restaurant that got the Michelin stars. I want to hear about that and some of your experience moving into that, because I would imagine being in that kind of environment would be really intense, but also like primo training ground for what you eventually ended up launching, which is your restaurant now.
Yeah. I think, that environment, I don't know how other Michelin-starred restaurants are. I worked for Joel Robuchon, who was at the time like the most awarded, I think still he had, he passed away a couple of years ago, but he had the most Michelin stars of any chef ever. He had 16 Michelin-starred restaurants running simultaneously around the world. And we opened his first one in New York City in the Four Seasons Hotel. And yeah, it was brutal in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It was definitely, I was kind of primed for that. I kind of understood where that was coming from. My wife at the time, my first wife, was the first woman ever to work at Boulé. And that was a different, all these stories about how crazy Boulé was. And a lot of those people were Robuchon people. So I was kind of primed for what it was going to be like, but there was like some physical violence. It was like,
oh my God.
I mean, like the first couple of times when I first got to the front kitchen, I remember I started and they basically put me in a prep role. And the sous chef, I finally got called up to the front kitchen with the executive chef. And the sous chef was like, don't be happy, basically. He's like, he's just bringing you up there because he wants to beat you. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Wow. Motivating. Very motivating.
I was
right there. Wow.
And that's why. Yeah, pretty much why. He just tortured me. I was the new guy and the culture there was very cutthroat. And it wasn't like help the new guy. It was like, trip the new guy and laugh while the chef beats him, basically.
Wow. And and you're in front of the guests, I believe, at Joel Robuchon, correct?
Yes.
You're part of the show.
I remember I met someone while I was there at a different restaurant who was telling me about their experience coming to the restaurant. Like the garde manger especially was like really like 4 feet from the guests. And he said he was sitting there and he's watching this girl make a salad. And he sees the chef come over and he see her flinch as she's kicked in the shin.
What?
Wow.
And just doesn't stop and just keeps going.
Wow. You never know what you're going to get on this show. Let me tell you, some of these stories of the kitchen, it truly is a battlefield back there.
It was pretty brutal back there.
Yeah.
And that was a particular chef who was, I'm not going to throw him under the bus and mention his name, but the chef that was there at that time, we went through 3 executive chefs who is just, he's Japanese, it's different culture there. And they're like the French on steroids. And that was how it was,
Wow.
Wow.
But yeah. And then
Now,
you fall into that
did you
culture.
come out of
trying to
there
get out of
thinking
it.
I will never be like that, or were you coming out of there thinking? I
Well, the
guess
problem is
this
I was
part of my
like,
career?
we never were that bad. And once he left, like it became more just like, verbal and psychological trauma. But I think, I never wanted to be that, but you're stuck in this mode. I mean, you did it for 6 years every
Yeah.
day. And I rose from like prep cook to sous chef, and we got stars and didn't really know another way to work
Yeah.
when I
Right.
left there. But I definitely always felt like what was interesting to me when you see that level of behavior, whether it's yelling or hitting, eventually you get numb to it. And
Mm.
it doesn't work anymore. And so then someone's got to escalate something further to get people to wake up, which is all you're really trying to do as a chef, is trying to get people to focus. And so what I found very quickly is like the best thing to do is just to be very soft. And yeah, occasionally you might have to raise your voice a little, but you get the same effect if you yell all the time where you have to do something insane. There's just different ways to manage.
Yeah.
But it
Well,
took
you
me
also-
years to get
You don't
over
want to
it.
create a fear environment in people
No,
because it's like
no.
then they're afraid to push the boundaries, and
Yep.
like you want them to push the boundaries a little bit,
Yeah.
but within the gate, I guess. But
Mhm.
yeah. So when did you take all of that back and start Shipwright's Daughter? Because I want to talk about your
It
restaurant
was
now.
years.
Years.
It was
Okay.
basically Robichon, and then I was a chef in New York after that. Had a couple of restaurants for about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And
Mhm.
then I met my current wife. She got pregnant. I freaked out and got out of restaurants because I thought I couldn't possibly. And
Yeah.
then weirdly, we came up here for a birthday party. And I have this adopted aunt who's like my wife's adopted aunt from Rochester. She's
Mhm.
like family friend. Her name's Maura, and she's just like a mega connector. She just connects people. It's just who she is. And we came here, and was like, oh, this is a cool place. Yeah, maybe we always want to live in New England. Like a week later, I get a call from her. She's like, the Whalers Inn they want to open a restaurant. They're looking for a chef. I gave them your resume. They want to meet with you.
Wow.
That's how
I'm like,
fast it happened.
Wow.
That's how fast.
Nice.
I was hired like 30 days later.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great.
That's awesome.
Technology decisions can make or break a restaurant. That's why restaurants turn to Back of House, your guide to smarter tech strategy. From point-of-sale systems to online ordering, labor tools, and guest engagement platforms, Back of House helps you cut through the noise with expert insights, comparisons, and best practices. Don't just buy tech, build a strategy that grows your business. Visit backofhouse.io and get the clarity you need to choose the right tools for your restaurant.
And so, tell us about the current place. The sustainability, I think, of is really where you're trying to kind of hone this mindset of you're using not only the entire piece, the entire fish, the entire animal, but you're also looking for some of the fish that may not hit other menus.
Yeah.
And that there's a lot of great fish out there in the ocean, not to use as some sort of, the matchmaker we just talked about. There's a lot of fish in the ocean, but literally there are. And there are some that other chefs are going to be like, I'm not going to take that one, not to get that one, but you are going to use everything that's available to you, and you're going to use the entire piece. So maybe that's obviously a mindset you're going in with, but how do you attain all this?
I just
Yeah,
want to
it's-
pause and wait for the Plenty of Fish advertisement now to play. You know what? Sorry, I had to. You opened the
Definitely.
door, Spencer. I had to.
That's how you get
No
sponsors,
worries.
right?
Yeah, exactly right. Okay, back to you, David.
Exactly. Back to you.
It didn't start off with that. I always had some sustainability in mind when I moved here, but mostly at first I just was very excited about being close to where the fish are.
Mhm.
And I thought I'd be able to get anything I wanted. I was like, this is where the boats come in. And I was really shocked to learn that I couldn't get anything. And I was lucky just to get fresh. At first I was just pushing to get fish that had just come off the boat that was, no more than 2 days out of the water. I thought that would at least be easy.
Mhm.
But I fought that battle for a long time. And then I did want to get like some bycatch. And it took a long time to get people who would buy in. The fishing industry is not geared towards saving things. They're geared towards focusing on 5 or 6 species. And for local areas like this with fishing fleets, they're geared towards sending everything out of town immediately. So they're fishing for New York. They're fishing for Las Vegas.
Right.
They're not fishing for local consumption.
Mhm.
And so they don't want to catch anything that they're not going to get, orders in the thousands of pounds for. So that's really the trouble. And that's why we have these species that are pressured, we say, rather than healthier stocks that we don't have to manage. And so we just have to diversify. That's the whole premise of sustainability, is diversifying what you eat so that you're not pressuring any one thing.
Oh, I want to talk about the James Beard Award now. And let's jump forward to 2024 when you win. And I read in your speech that you said that from doing what was best for you to doing what was best for the community and the next generation. And that really stood out to me. So do you think that the evolution of that mindset changed in the way that you lead and how you cook, and ultimately that played the role in your restaurant being recognized for that award? And how do you keep those values going now, today?
I think that's been sort of came in even when I worked at Cafe Clover, which was trying to be healthy and create food that would like just be good for people essentially.
Yeah.
And then coming to Shipwrights and the sustainability aspect really it's a lot about the fish, but it's also a lot about the fishermen. And the small fisherman is a dying breed.
Yeah.
And they really need a lot of help with so many regulations and all this stuff that makes their lives really, really hard. And a lot of what we do is actually to support the fishing community and to keep, those are the people that we live and around, like in this small area. Your purveyors are also your friends, like these are people you hang out with. These are people you see in town. There's a lot of very close connection to the community. And that's just something that we want to support. For us, sustainability, we say it goes deeper than the food. We want the people who work for us to have sustainable careers so they can stay in the restaurant industry and not burn out and make a living and have benefits. And we want the people we buy food and products from to have sustainable business models where they can make enough money fishing to support their families and have it be a viable career. So that's just where it all came from. And James Beard has done some pretty amazing things in the past few years that kind of reinvented themselves from, giving the award to the same 5 chefs every year for decades. To kind of putting some ethos behind it of trying to support people who are giving back to the community and doing really great food, but also for the right reasons. And it just all kind of clicked, and we got super lucky.
Well, that's amazing.
I think
Congratulations.
when we talked with the chef Paul about this as well, because he won in West Virginia, and the community, how excited they were for him. And it must be such a source of pride for these fish purveyors, for it to see the amazing things that you're creating with their product that they work so hard for, but then to get the recognition. And it must have been a community award as well, I can imagine.
For sure. When I was nominated, also Renee was nominated from Port of Call for Outstanding Chef nationally that same year. So we had like the governor came to town, and like we got these like proclamations. It was a big deal. There hasn't been a James Beard award-winning chef in Connecticut for almost 20 years.
Oh wow!
This was a big deal.
The forgotten state for sure. So she was a huge deal for the state and for Mystic, of course, to be on the map like that. And for the fishermen, I love when they come in. We try to put the name of the fishing vessel for below the dish for where the fish comes from, because we do know where it actually comes from.
Perfect.
And I get a lot of requests for, can you take a picture of the menu and send it to me? But it's like fishermen don't get the credit that farmers get. Everybody's talking about where their carrots came from, but no one really talks about where the fish came from. We don't have that traceability. So it's really big. It's big for them, I think. It's super regulated in some ways, whereas like USDA, there's lots of inspections for like your beef gets inspected 20 times, but fish doesn't have that. But the regulations on catching and licensing and quotas are really, really, really hard to deal with.
Yeah.
We've done some work recently. We had a bill passed in Connecticut last year to help us get green crabs, but sorting through the bureaucracy is overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about that. So I do want to talk about your the work you've done with the invasive green crab. So first off, congrats on the New York Times feature. I saw that. That was amazing.
That was really cool.
Yeah, that is so cool. So you've really been leading the charge on finding culinary uses for the green crab, which is, I think, such a cool example of problem solving through food and how that expands to so many other areas of your community and your environment. So tell us where that idea came about and what it means now to be getting national attention around this.
Yeah, it's an amazing story, really. It started with when I worked at Robuchon, where one of my jobs as sous chef was to get the products. Robuchon was coming to town. He came like 5 times a year. We'd get a list of things. And so it was always like, we're going to do a crab dish. So we want all the available crabs. I want to see everything you can possibly get, and we're going to pick which ones to use. And we did that. And he came in and they're like, well, where are the green crabs? And I was like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. So of course I go to try to find them. And everyone's like, we don't even know what that is for fish purveyors in New York. And I couldn't get them. They're like, well, in Europe, this is what we use for stock. It's the best crab for stock. And then I went years later. I've been searching for them ever since. Years later, I go fishing with my cousin for tautog. And he pulls out a basket of green crabs. And I was like, where did you get those? He's like, what do you mean? Where did I get those? They're everywhere. I just get them off the dock. And I could not believe that
Wow.
there's so many, they're a nuisance, and yet I can't get them as a food product. And that
Yeah.
just started this whole thing where I was searching for them. I finally found a fisherman, Jason Jarvis from Westerly, who was willing to sell them to me for food. And then, that led me to greencrab.org, which I didn't know existed at the time.
Love that.
And Mary, who's doing an amazing job, like doing the same thing. She had sort of the same mission, and it's really exploded. I'm so happy that I've been able to get people to eat these little things.
What was the concern? Was this part of the overregulation of it? Or is it just not a moneymaker?
There's some regulation problems, but most of it there just weren't a market for them. No one knew how to use them.
Yeah.
No one was using them for food. But then once we get to the point where, okay, I know how to cook them, I know how to get people to eat them, now I have to find them, it's really hard because of the regulation. So in Connecticut, they're designated as bait, which is really weird. There's like 30 species actually that are designated as bait-only species. And so in order for me to get those species, the fisherman has to get a bait license. And what he does is he catches the bait, he sells it to himself because he's also the dealer, right? So he's a bait dealer. And then he can sell it to me, and the bait dealer, right? Same person sells it to me. And then I have to have a bait dealer's license to sell it to the public. So I then have to sell it to myself so I can sell it to a guest. But I still have to call it bait.
This makes all the sense in the world. All the sense in the world.
I was like, okay.
So logical.
It's really, really crazy.
Wow.
So we're really trying to get that whole thing wiped and changed, but changing laws is really hard. So we got it so that at least we don't need that license now, where someone can go and get green crabs with a bait license, sell them to me, and I don't have to get a bait license. And it's just dumb, but it's
Well,
it's
so
a
are there
battle.
people using them as well in their cooking?
Yeah. I think, I don't know, locally there's a few people that use them. If you go to greencrab.org, there's a bunch of restaurants that use them. One of my favorite success story of this, though, is when we did our James Beard dinner in New York that was green crab focused last year. Mary went to, I wish I could name the restaurant. It's in the West Village. And she went there just for lunch, and they had green crab bisque on the menu. And she asked the chef, she's like, I heard about this guy in Mystic who's doing it. So we got some. And I was like, wow, if things are going from Mystic to New York, that's
Nice.
great.
That's
Now,
cool.
where can I get green crab? Because is this an Atlantic thing? I'm in the Pacific
Yeah.
Northwest. Can I get it here?
They actually are having a big problem in the Pacific with green crabs right now. They're starting to, I don't think they were there originally. Or maybe the water temperatures, that's what's happened here, are really spiking their
Sure.
population.
Right.
But yeah, they're there and they're going to start using them for sure. You'll see the same movement that's happening here, but they're having the same issues environmentally with them now.
I feel like all I heard a lot was about Asian carp, and I'm in Chicago, and I feel like we hear a lot about that in Lake Michigan. And I think some people have tried, but apparently it doesn't taste very great to eat them. And so, and so I'm
But
like,
you know what, though? They would be great for like the cat food industry.
I did hear
there's
some-
a lot of fish that are just fished just for cat food
just for
or,
so it's
or
fine for our-
fertilizer.
it's
So
fine for our feline friends, but not for our
Absolutely.
human friends.
yeah.
My poor cat. Cat. All right. So I know you've also rolled out a new concept called Mystic Fish Camp, and it's a fast casual take on traditional fish shack, still 100% sustainable and local, but quote, poor man's lobster roll made with monkfish, which I love that quote. So what made you want to open up this concept, and how has the community taken to it?
Really great across the board. We bought this building. It used to be a toy store. Our group bought it a couple of years ago. And as soon as they bought it, I was like, that's got to be a restaurant. It's on the water. Right. Perfect. And we had the fine dining restaurant going. And I always felt like the best thing to like complementary concept is something casual, more accessible to a fine dining restaurant. And on the sustainability side, it's great that you can in a quote unquote fancy restaurant get essentially upper class wealthy people to buy this thing that's super sustainable and well sourced. Like that's not that hard to do. But in order to really change the food system, we need more people, a broader spectrum of people that actually change their eating habits. And the kind of people who are going to go to the grocery store and ask for more sustainable products. And so we wanted to do something at a lower price point that was kid friendly, where like regular people could come in and especially kids and start kind of learning how to eat this way.
Cool. That sounds
That's
awesome. I want to
fantastic.
try.
It's super
Okay.
good.
So what excites you right now about the industry? What any new concepts, new geographies, new partnerships? What's exciting right now? I guess not only in the fish industry, but in the seafood restaurant industry.
There's so much more openness, honestly, in the seafood. I think so much of this stuff is actually spreading, where I'm seeing it other places, and I'm looking at other menus, and I'm seeing things like slipper limpets and green crab popping up outside of our area, which is amazing. And I think it's just showing, I really give James Beard a lot of credit. It's really encouraging chefs to do things like this in their own worlds, and find something that they can support. Like, it makes perfect sense for us to focus on sustainable seafood. I can like throw a rock and hit a commercial fishing dock here, but other places you don't have that, but there are definitely things you can do, and looking at different ways you can support sustainability in your communities and in your cooking. It's really taking off, I think, and chefs are realizing how much power they have. Chefs have probably more power than any other position to shape the food system, because we're buying and we're selling. And so we can educate the public and we can get them to want something. And then on the buy side, we can educate and kind of train our purveyors to produce or acquire things. So we can really have a huge impact, and we've done it here, but I think so many chefs are taking up that cause. It's really going to help change.
Yeah. That's a really good piece of advice. And I think in general, it's looking at it from all different angles. So I guess if somebody wanted to start doing this, I mean, we had a lot of restaurant owners and restaurant operators listening to this show. And so if they really want to try to embed this in their values or whatever it is that they're working on right now in their restaurants and the food, when it comes to the food, where do you recommend that they start?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what for the seafood specifically, like what we do. We have a book, not to plug the book, but the book is coming out in 2000. Plug the book in 2027. It's a little advanced. But a lot of the book that we're coming out with is geared a little bit towards commercial kitchens.
Oh, nice.
There's a home version of it, of how you can do it, but there's systems that have to be put in place to really eat this way. It's not like you can just go to the grocery store and buy like enough of this sustainable product to make dinner tonight and not do it again. Like if you really want seafood in your diet and to change, there are ways you can have this in your daily life, like the way that we use meat products, where we just buy them and we have them and they're here and they're preserved and they're different forms. You can do that with seafood, and you could have like a fridge full of seafood right now that doesn't go bad, and you can just eat seafood more. So some of those systems are in place, and certainly in a restaurant, like the one in particular is like sugar kelp. We use a ton of sugar kelp. But when you get it, if you can find it, you can't get 1 pound. You've got to get like 20 pounds. And then you've got 20 pounds of something that's going to go bad in 5 days. So there's a system that we have in place where we preserve a lot of it. We dry some, we pickle some, we candy some, and we take that 20 pounds of kelp and make it last. So we don't lose money on it really, and we can afford to sell it and use it in different ways. So I think getting those systems in place is part of it. And obviously our book will explain that. But there's some organizations like Eating with the Ecosystem was super helpful to me to find sources for things and to kind of get on the right track. Greencrab.org is amazing. Like if you call Mary, she will get you green crabs somehow. Like she'll find a way. And
we need cheerleaders like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Green crabs do. That's
exactly right. Eat us.
Totally.
So I guess you got 2 restaurants essentially. You got a book coming out. 5 years from now, what does success look like for you? Are you looking to build something new? Are you looking to really just enhance the sustainability of how you make items and how you cook, and spreading that to different chefs? Is all of the above?
I'm all of the above, really. I think the most important thing for me is always, the food is so important and so much fun. But what I actually really love about restaurants is watching people grow and watching people come in and grow into bigger roles. And so we have such a talented team that it's a lot about what they want to do moving forward, because, your team that's your whole thing. We can't do anything without them taking on larger roles and growing in the company. And I just love the idea of like the line cook that I have today is going to be the chef in a couple of years somewhere. We're going to have, hopefully we can build a role for them that they can excel in and grow and prosper. So.
Yeah. What a great way to focus on, you're focusing on the external and the internal, and taking everything you've learned and helping people go through the ladder and move up. And what did I read something somewhere that said, something like, your best people, you'll eventually have to say goodbye to them because they're your best people, and have to, you mentor them up, and then they kind of go out and the bird flies the nest. And it's like, but it's so important to keep good quality restaurants going, and food, and the sharing of these ideas, and pushing it out even further than just your own place. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah. That's don't kick people in the shins.
No.
That's the number one way to lose.
I've never actually done it.
That's good.
I swear.
You know what? I'm going to do this today. You know what I'm going to do right now?
Just give you one good kick in the shin.
Test.
I used to have welts on my arms. These like monkey pinches.
Oh my God.
It's brutal.
Oh, wow.
I come home
Wow.
with like bruises.
Yeah, right?
Guy was
Wow.
psychotic.
Tales from the New York
Yeah, right?
Michelin-starred dining. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today, David. This was awesome.
This was
What a
great.
Before
pleasure.
you go, though,
Mhm.
we have something new called the On the Fly round. It's 3 to 5 quick questions for you. First thing top of mind.
I need 2 on the fly.
First question, if the Shipwright's Daughter had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh, it's a theme song. It's from the Rocky soundtrack. It's my favorite thing on the playlist.
Nice.
Yes.
Final Countdown. What is it? It's not Final Countdown. It's
Is it the
Eye of
is
the
it,
Tiger.
no, it's not the
Oh,
Tiger.
the original Rocky, like the one from the Getting Stronger or something like that. Or
Yeah,
is it the
that-
dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun?
It's kind of that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Soundtrack at 9. It comes on at like 9 o'clock, and it's really for the kitchen. And you can hear it in the kitchen. It's
Nice.
like what you need to get through that like last push. But yeah, that's my soundtrack.
Those of you listening who heard me sing, you're very, very welcome.
And the
Okay,
award
number-
goes to Spencer.
Exactly. They just did. Literally they all just shut it off right now.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2, what is a dish that terrifies you to cook for someone else?
If any.
Terrifies me to cook. Nothing really. I'm prejudiced towards my own food. I can't eat what other people make for me.
Oh, really?
Kind of.
Oh,
I don't know why.
that's interesting.
I've always been that way from a child. If I make it, I like it. If someone else makes it, I'm always like, I don't know.
Not what I would have done.
I'm just going to judge you and snicker at you from this other
Yeah.
side of the room. I
Oh,
won't
I'll
actually
be like-
tell you, though.
Interesting choices.
That's funny. Yeah. Okay, if you weren't a chef, what do you think you'd be doing instead?
Oh my God, I don't know. I've done so many other things unsuccessfully. But I feel
You're like, this is it.
This is like for sure. I think I would be like middling at something somewhere. I would definitely be like middle of the road, another thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Who's a chef or a mentor, past or present, that inspired you the most?
I think that there's 2 actually chefs that kind of inspired me a lot. One was Kurt Gutenbrenner in New York, who before I was a chef, I was a bartender, and my last bartending job was at Valse in the West Village, and it was the first one where the food was real. First restaurant I worked at,
Yeah.
and I saw what was going on in the kitchen. I was like, and he was also insane, but just saw what was going on in the kitchen and wanted to be part of that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right,
Awesome.
last question. Favorite
Mhm.
seafood or fish item?
Favorite one is probably, I'm going to say right now, just it changes all the time, but I'm going to say monkfish.
Monkfish.
Just because it's so
That's-
fun, it's versatile. It's it's a poor man's lobster. We do the lobster rolls. You can make mortadella out of it, and it's great.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
Oh, yeah.
cool. I
Oh,
love
wow.
mortadella. I have an Italian grandmother who also loves mortadella.
We do a tuna mortadella sandwich at fish camp. It's great.
Oh, I would love that. All right. We know what's next on our travel bucket list now,
Road trip.
Spencer.
Yeah.
Yeah, road trip.
It might take me
All
a
right.
little while. Just
Yeah.
I'll pick you up on the way, Claudia.
If on the way in your camper van.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much, David. This was great. Congratulations on all of your success.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, David. So You Want to Run a Restaurant is created by Back of House, produced and hosted by Claudia Sarek, with Nick Florick as executive producer. Marketing by Hillary Young and Ashley Dunn. Creative by Manisha Kishenchand. And live production by Sarah Heemstra. And of course me, your co-host, Spencer Michael. For more information, visit backofhouse.io/podcast.